Hello, hello, hello. Whoa, whoa, what's happening? So, no, damn it. Okay, let's see how this works. My drivers died. Let's switch that off. Let's reboot the driver. Switch that on. Should be working. Oh yeah, fantastic. Excellent. Hey Rip, how's it going? That doesn't make a lot of sense. This needs to be longer. How are you doing, Lurib? For me, my Sunday's been very laid back. We celebrated my wife's mother's husband. He had a birthday, so we bought him, you know, the Pirelli. It was this famous calendar or photo shoot, and we bought him like the collection art book, like the photo book. It's really cool, really beautiful photos in there. Hey, Oms. Welcome. What are you cooking, Lurib? Is it microwaved meatballs and pasta? Just no shame, just microwave it as long as it's hot. It's a good stuff, right? When the girlfriend is not allowed around, you live a bachelor kind of life. Just quick and easy food. Hey, Sayer, how's it going? Welcome. Yeah, I'm not gonna stream a lot tonight. I'm quite tired. I'm gonna paint on Steampunk Kylo Ren a bit, maybe an hour, half an hour, and then I'm gonna look through the challenge. We'll see what happens. But my idea is that I'll spend some time doing feedback, some paint overs of the challenge, of like how I see things. Hey Koro, how's it going? Andre? Oh, spaghetti bolognese. That's just tomato sauce and mince, right? I made the similar food today as well, but a little bit more advanced maybe. But it was tasty. Kids loved it. Wife loved it. So I'm happy. Sayer, yeah, I think I will put a Ewok face in there. let's try. It gotta be like a dead one, right? But it also has to be clear. Oh, it's that guy. That guy. He's the dead guy. That guy, right? That's the toy. The striped one. He's the gunner. And the question is, how do we find a good enough face to... I kind of want it looking up. They were really cool though, the Ewoks are really, they were great characters. And I don't want to, I mean, the leather hood around them is quite telltale of who they are, but it doesn't match uniform. But I found hey Sarah. I see, I think someone started. Kuru, right? Make the face look like a coin purse. So I found this photo, and I think it's a good face to kind of use. Let's see if we can kind of get the face in there, but I think it'll cheapen, it cheapens the idea. It just makes it look like a gag. You know, like haha. I don't know. Could have it like a shoulder pad. We could also see Ewok hands. There we go. We could also do Ewok rabbit foot, but Ewok lucky lucky hand. Let's simplify that a bit. Yeah. Kuro, I really liked your thumbnails. They were good. It's a good start. one thing I usually do, like at the very end of them all, is I usually smash silhouettes together and like duplicate layers, and I paint away parts or erase parts and paint new parts, but try to create new silhouettes based on previous ones, you know, so like you overlay them on top of each other and see like what comes out. I tend to get good results that way, so that you might want to try that as well, just to see like what your imagination can come up with by reusing thumbnail silhouettes already. Usually works quite well. Because at that point you just kind of shape sift, like try to find cool results rather than paint them from scratch. And because you've already painted them from scratch on other thumbnails, you're just reusing like unique thumbnails. It goes quite well. Hey, LP Chan, thanks for the auto host. Thank you. Let's lower the intensity. I also need to yellow it up a bit. Yeah, so for today's stream, I haven't like made any announcement on Facebook or Twitter or anything, so most likely we're not going to be that many people. But I'm recording this, so it should go up on YouTube afterwards, anyways. And I guess most of you guys who did the challenge are already here, anyways. But I'll just paint a bit until yeah, we'll see how it goes. I find it funny, like a lot of people, when they hear me type, a lot of reactions is, holy shit, you're fast. I'm a pretty fast typer, but I'm not like crazy fast or anything. For me, it's just moderate. But I'm definitely not a slow typer on the keyboard. It's good stuff. I think the head kind of looks okay. A bit unsure about it still. Well, I've been typing for a lot of years. Worst though is on a phone. My fingers are too big. I always misspell things. Yeah, I'm just gonna try to work in the head a little bit and see where it goes. But the issue I have with it is that it's like it just feels like tacked on. It doesn't feel a part of the design because it just it I don't know. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't make sense. You know, why would they keep a head? They would just use the pelt. I don't think personally I don't think the head works. I think the paw and the fur will be enough for people to go, ah. I don't think you need to oversell it. I think subtlety is better. Yeah, yeah. It's a face, so it kind of competes against the uh, focal point. But I think it was worth trying though. If I wouldn't have done it, I wouldn't have come up with the idea, most likely, of having a lucky paw. So thanks for the suggestion, anyways. The problem I have now at the moment is like his eyes are very the same as the original, but I think it's needed so that you get that he's him. Otherwise, if you, I mean, it's like Vader. You need the Vader mask shape. It's strange. Gonna have to update the Twitch window. It said I was offline, but I don't think I am. No, I'm not. Cool, cool. I had a closer look at my other steampunk Star Wars redesigns, and a lot of them are just painted with a simple hard brush. So I think I gotta stick to that and not too much like custom texture brush. But like with all of them, I have cut the character out quite sharply, so I gotta do that as well at some point. But I usually don't care too much about keeping the silhouette tight until later. Like when I like the shapes, I just cut the whole character out, and then fix edges and so on by painting on top. But obviously I want him to be sitting on the same background as all the other redesigns. But I'm digging the look of steampunk Kylo Ren. Let's make it look like steam. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's something I've been so steep Kylo Ren. Yeah, it's something I've been playing with a lot lately, which I haven't really in the past. Is using grays more. I've always tended to use counter opposite colors to counter, but lately I kind of thought like now I need to use a wider range of colors, so I stopped using that and started using grays more. Because I felt that it just ended up being too loud, like with all these like counter colors and all. I don't know. I didn't like the look of it. Too colorful. So I'm having fun experimenting with grays. Yeah, yeah, they did some amazing things for that game. Some really skilled artists that lended their skill set for the concept art. It's really cool. I listened to the developers' interviews about how they approached the art for it. It's really cool that they thought about it like as fine art, and let the artists do their thing more, which is cool, which is a great thing. Glad to hear that like the artists are given the respect, you know, obviously because they're damn skilled, but you know, that they're not too micromanaged. Ideally, that'll be the future for a lot of concept artists that have the skill set to do. You know, like they trust the artists to do some unique things. Passengers, yeah, it's an amazing looking games. First one is really cool as well. Really managed to do some interesting things straight off the bat. I mean, obviously the art director, he knows his things. Let's remove those headphones. Makes it annoying to listen to. Kind of clamps the ears and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the mask is a really cool design. Like a play on skull. So it's really, really well done. Kuru, yeah, the concept art for that game is mad. I mean, obviously they used some pretty skilled artists for the concept art. Those Russians. Imagine being the third, like the additional concept art for that, and see those heavy hitters produce concept art, and you have to try to like desperately match it. Yeah, Sergey and Piotr. I can't pronounce his surname. Jurblowski or something. Crazy. Mad skills. Sergey Kozlov is so good. His illustration game is crazy good. So impressive to see when he does illustrations. He used to paint live, but he didn't talk to anyone. He didn't have microphone on. It was just him painting. But it was really cool to see how he builds the images. He had like a secret, not really secret, obviously everyone shared that URL, but he used to stream. Arms. I think it was like live stream. Yeah, if I remember correctly, he wasn't doing it too often. He was kind of experimenting with it for a while. Could have been live stream. But yeah, he's so good. Some impressive skills. Cool, Sayer. Good luck. I will start looking at the challenge entries like in 30 minutes maybe, but it'll be recorded anyway, so you can watch it later. Thanks for joining, and see you around. Yeah, today I'm a bit slow. Ate some food, and now and I had a beer with the food, and now I'm on reserve energy. I think I'll after the stream, I think I'll watch some movie or something and just kind of don't do anything. I feel like just sitting and slowly attempt to grow into the chair. I think that's a wise decision. I need to also, for this red here, by the way, remove some of that milkiness by not having it salmon pink but more redder. Bing, 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 boom, 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 boom. Okay, so let's try to find my pictures. Steam Wars. I call it Steam Wars. So Vader. That's Vader. Let's open Vader. Oh no. Let's not open Vader. Let's open Lando. Lando should be on a separate. He was. Yes. All right. No. Let's do it like that. And let's have it like that. And then mask him out a bit. Oh, I'll show him more then. Even in closer detail. So that's Lando, the classic guy. And his lazy owl that's flying. Yeah. But as you can see, like the tightness of the render is not very like over detailed. It just has the right kind of information where it's needed to be seen at this resolution. So that's something I'm just gonna try to maintain on these. I don't want to like go too crazy. Yeah. Lando, he's smooth. He's a smooth operator. But Lando has always been a smooth operator. In the movies, he always had that smile and ladies' man. He's pimp. He's definitely pimp. He's a hard guy to beat in swag. I usually use the lasso tool, but I'll just do it with a hard brush today. I felt like it. I don't know why. Not a very productive thing to do, but what can you do? I bought Minecraft Story for my son. He's been playing that eagerly, explaining the story plot and all these things to me. It's funny. We're like really engaging, and I'm surprised that he follows the story so well, as English is his native language. It's his third language, but he can really follow. So impressive. Smart boy. Lurib, yeah. They've released a Minecraft Story, which is like a click and play adventure, more or less, set in the Minecraft world. It's like an episodic game that's released in episodes. And there was this deal on PlayStation, all the episodes for like 10 euros. So I thought, screw it. He's doing well in school and all that. So I thought, and he was also very brave at the dentist and allowed the dentist to do what they needed to do. So I just I treated him to Minecraft story. He had been looking forward to it a long time. And it just happens also that one of the kids in his school is also playing, and actually not just one, there are quite a few of them. So they're my son, he collected Lego and built like Minecraft blocks out of his own Lego and took it to school in a box, and they were playing Minecraft story together in class. It's hilarious. So funny. Like they're playing video games in real life. But I mean, I can get it. I understand it. Video games is such a great experience, and you can really carve out uh, like an engaging story and experience and all that. I think way better than a movie, because a movie you're just in for the ride. Like there's no input. But games usually allow you to influence and kind of tailor your experience in a way. I think it's a lot stronger. And also in a way it teaches concentration, and it teaches team play and kind of camaraderie and all these things. Like imagine you walking up, you're playing with your friend and you're walking up to a boss fight and you're like, oh come on, you can do it, high-fiving and like leaning into the controller, and you're ready for a fight and all these things. It's an interesting experience. Is it pleasing? Is it satisfying seeing a messy outline being cleaned up? The OCD is pleased until I make a mistake, and that's the only thing you can see. That's out. Fix it. Yeah, I found out a cool function, a cool Google function today. Actually, I was out trying to buy. This is obviously not interesting whatsoever, but I was out trying to buy vacuum bags. I was out of vacuum bags, and I went to the store, like this kind of mall, and the guy said like there is no vacuum bags that you need here. You need to go to this other store. And I was like, all right, thanks. Left the store, and then I had to think, okay, where is the store closest? So I just Googled the closest uh, name of the store. Just Googled that term, and then switched on location for the phone, and Google sent me a map with the 3 closest stores to my vicinity by just Googling closest store name. What is the closest store name? It's really cool. I didn't know that, but apparently it worked really, really well. So now I know that if I need something, know where a store is, or probably a tram stop or a bus stop, or you can just use that term, and you'll get the answer spoon-fed. That was absolutely not interesting whatsoever. But yeah, now you know. Yeah, not really discovered Google, but that function, smartphone function, it's cool. Yeah, exactly. And screw human contact. Like ask someone where is the store. Just ask your computer, and the computer pretends to be a human. It's okay. We all gonna be a hive mind sooner or later, and we will know the answer before even uh, asking the question. Yeah, smartphones, they're crazy good now. I mean, I remember me growing up, um, when there was no phone, cell phones, was only landline, and like if you called someone, you called them at their home and hoped that they were there, or you even made an appointment, like you told your friend, like, oh, I'm going to call you on Saturday at 4, uh, be home please, and you wait for 4 o'clock, and then you can call his home. Completely different now. Now, like, everyone is always reachable in multiple means of contact. And like when I was little, like you could go home to your friend as well to see if he was home. If not, like the parents would say like, no, he is at this person's home. And if you're lucky, you knew where the friend's home was, and you could go to that place and knock on their door and ask, you know, is, no, is my friend, is my friend here? That's so funny. Passenger, yeah, your smartphone challenged. Yeah, I try to stay away from connecting my smartphone to too much that contains um, my data. I like the smartphone for its functions, but I try to maintain some sort of anonymity in the smartphone at least. I'm not too keen on the whole data mining of all the companies. Um, but in general, a smartphone is super useful. Messenger. It's typical of old school. Like they don't need all the functions, and it's technology. Is afraid of technology. Can't see the use of it, and then all the like 12-year-olds are using shit that you have no idea about. And I mean, obviously they are the future and they're going to use it, and they're going to use the next version and the version that is inspired by whatever versions they're using. And you're just going to slowly slide into going back to standard cell phones. Lurib, yeah, that's really cool. I want that that ability on my lamps as well. I mean, it's easily done. I was thinking of installing it. It's just like you need a more or less a lamp, a router, and a LED lamp, and a specific socket. So you just Wi-Fi connect the lamp router to your phone and send commands through that. But it, yeah, I was contemplating of installing it. It's a cool function. Um, passenger, yeah, it's funny how so many people are looking into their phones. Uh, I was thinking the other day, not the other day, but when I was commuting a lot to London, I took the train, and so many people were face down in their phones. And I was sitting there thinking, like, theoretically, because it's a GSM, right, or 3G communications with the phone, they're sending data chunks to towers, and the towers relay that to satellites, and so on, right? Hey, you're the coolness. You're the something. Um, anyways, I was getting to what I was getting to was so I was sitting and observing all these people on their phones, and I was thinking about the data streams. Like if you Google something on your phone, it's not connected to a Wi-Fi, right? It's connected to a GSM tower that is sending the data as internet, right? Well, through your Wi-Fi or your built-in receiver in the phone. But that means constantly from the phone, it's sending packages of data. And I was thinking, you should write an app that just acts as a middleman by allowing all these packages of data, but there probably is some sort of security to it, right? It probably ID tagged packets of data so that you can't get your neighbor's phone data. But I wonder if there's ability to make an app that snoops all the packages, so you just receive everyone's data, and you just need to be in a close vicinity to their like transmission. I think that will be a cool like snoop tool. It should work in theory, but probably is some sort of protection against it already. But I was always sitting and thinking about it, like imagining like Matrix style lines of data going out of the phones. They're like, and like, oh, I wonder what that person is googling. Yeah, I'm a special kind of guy with special kind of thoughts. Probably very illegal, yes. You're not very, you shouldn't be allowed to steal or snoop on other people's data packages. But I wonder if it would work. Just like a, yeah, once a hacker, always a hacker for sure. When you understand the principle of how it works, it's intriguing. And that's why, for example, I loved the TV show Mr. Robot. Oh, such a good TV show. So much hacking going on. It was so exciting. I know in the old days, um, on payphones, when they introduced the digital function, when they didn't have the dial wheel anymore. This is, of course, most of you guys don't know about this, but payphones, they had the spinning wheel first, like tuk 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 tuk, tuk 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 tuk, but then they changed it to digital tone, and a lot of people figured out that they could record the tone interval of where you want to call, and like tap the phone button, so like lift up and hang up, and you got the neutral tone to the switchboard, and you could just play the dial tone, and it would dial for free. Um, if you just had that phone number recorded in the digital tones. Hey, Rogue, a 13 poly count. Thanks for the host. High five. OMS, yeah. Yeah, when you use the home internet, you call the line. Funny. Those are funny days. Good old days of crazy um, internet times. Hmm. Ah. That's cool, Dennis. Passenger, yeah. It was interesting, uh, the old days, how you could theoretically have, there was a lot less security measures. And if you were just thinking a little bit out of the side of the box, you could figure things out a lot. And a lot of times there wasn't enough people notifying the companies and in how they did the abuse. Like nowadays, if something, there's a back door on something, it's like it's plugged in a day more or less, because it's just internet. Everyone informs everyone, and it is corrected. But like I know, I was listening to these hackers in a documentary that like are hacking government computers and so on. It's like there's this code of behavior that if you find an open door, that you don't do anything to give it away until you need to. So you can always go hack in or breach security to get in. as long as no one is discovering that you're in there poking around. It's really cool. Hey, Brendan, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going? Passengers, yeah. It's good stuff.
I should say something smart.
Old school. Old school pre-internet mischief. Hey, Brandon, thanks for the host. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Brendan, well, I started yesterday redesigning Kylo Ren in Steampunk Star Wars. And this is not the 30-minute warm-up time. It's just kind of an extra stream. So pretty soon I'll on my on the Discord there's a challenge with a story topic. So a lot of people have been paying for that, and I'm gonna go through it with Passenger 74 here and kind of give our thoughts on it. I think that's about it. And then I'm a bit tired, so we're gonna do that. I'm gonna do some feedback and probably call it an evening. Like I mentioned earlier, I had a beer and some food, and I'm kind of slightly falling into comatose. So we'll see. So this is Kylo Ren. Not too keen on certain things. I want to change them, but I think they're is going in the right direction for now. Yeah. Hey, live workshop. Thanks for the host. Hey, Golden Tigers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you? So, like I mentioned yesterday, I did a stream as well, where I started this one from scratch. So if anyone wanna watch it, it's if you look underneath the stream, there's a archive part section, and under season 2 of 30-minute warm-up, I uploaded it today, and it's called I think it's episode 29 extra. So you can easily dig it out there and watch the start of this Kylo Ren redesign. Brendan, probably total now 3 hours, 4 maybe. But it was yesterday while drinking beer, and today is start of the stream. So maybe 3, 4. Oh, hey Paul. Thank you. Hey Thomas. Welcome Thomas Pazika. Awesome. So so many wonderful people decided to join almost all at once. Fantastic people. Makes me happy. How's it going, Thomas? How are you today? It must be kind of post-breakfast time for you now, Thomas, right? Is it Sunday morning over there, if I'm not mistaken? Well, I'm fine, thank you, Thomas. Ah, it's 4 p.m. That's cool. I think it actually reads better this way, with like the diagonal going down like that. But that means he has the steam saber in his left hand, and there's always some idiot on the internet gonna say, "You kind of read he's right-handed. Actually, he's not left-handed." But let me actually Google it. Is Kylo Ren left-handed? Left. The trailer showed Ren swinging the lightsaber and later holding it in his left hand while he holds out his right. So he is left-handed. All right. So then this works. Thomas, that's awesome. That's cool. Lou Rib and Brandon, they're quick on the the nerd knowledge. Actually, they would be ambidextrous. I'm just kidding, guys. But I can promise you, I've heard my fair share of fine details and arguments in comment sections over my steampunk Star Wars. Like a lot of people discussing if Han Solo actually would have a mustache. Like, no, I think that Han Solo actually he's a rebel, right? And he would never. I just sit there and read. You're like, what are you talking about? It can't be this important. It's just a drawing of a fictional character. And they take it so serious. Yeah, Brendan. I know. I mean, obviously, I'm drawing uh, Star Wars. So no, obviously, I'm in the same pocket there. Thanks, by the way, Alms. Yeah, the background is on the same for all of them, and I think it looks cool. I think I need to brighten some parts up. I think it goes a little bit too dark, but yeah, it's going the right direction. Thomas, yeah, it definitely needs more lens flare. So, Brandon, you mentioned you started. Did you start full time at a studio, or just a long contract, freelance? Oh, that's good. Good drinks. Mm, let's brighten that a bit. Is that right? It doesn't make sense. A little bit, maybe. Maybe I should go darker. Actually, no. Let's not go darker. Let's make it darker in the front. Yeah, that's better. That's cool, Brendan. That's a good job. Um, yeah, we're contemplating. I was thinking the other week, like like if I would be a 3D guy, what I would do. And here's a suggestion for you, Brendan. Um, you should look up um, miniature um, developers, like the people making miniature games, with the miniature figures. Like just Google the list of people producing those that are printing their statues, and I think that way you'll be doing full 3D models, um, and usually quite a lot of them, because they need a lot of characters for their sets. So maybe that could give you some income. Hey, George Wiley, welcome. That's cool, Lurip. Yeah, so I think I would probably do that because most likely they will pay well as well for some good models. Just trying to kind of think about alternative alternatives, because everyone can't be chasing the same piece of the pie, right? There's so many pies out there. You just gotta figure out how to get a hold of it. Sorry about that. I tried to warn you, but I couldn't. I'm gonna watch myself sneeze. Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. You can see it. All them pies. Thanks, Arms. Thank you very much. feel like another sneeze is coming. Gotta push it down. Don't don't bubble up to the surface. Sneeze. I am your master. Go away. Whew. I won the battle. It went away. Yeah, Brendan, that gotta be super expensive, right? Because you just don't need one program like Photoshop. You need a handful of them. But I know Thomas, he's doing a lot of 3D as well. But I think a lot of 3D artists don't um, go for the most expensive ones, I guess. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but uh, you can you can get licenses from clients, right? Or maybe not. I mean, I know some clients have, like if you're going to be on it for a long time and they have a specific need. I know that it has happened that they can buy licenses for you. It's got to be a big, hefty chunk of cash to have all those programs. Kuro. Like, who was it? Uh, the art director for One Pixel Studios. Is that what they called? One Pixel. Uh, at the AFCC, he said he was talking about illustrations and using photos as source, and he said like he does not want to be the person who uses photos and being the first one being sued by the client because of copyright breach, because there's a lot of people out there who use photos in a way which if you're unlucky, the copyright holder can like sue the game for income, right? Because they've used their photos without consent. But usually, what that involves is that in your employment contract, uh, there's usually clauses that states that you will be responsible for it. So canceling or removing a character from a huge game because you or a environment because you used photo sources incorrectly can I agree with that guy. I don't want to be the one that All right,
Oh, great Odin's raven!
I think that's it for now on Kylo, and I think it's time to um, do the challenge thing. I gotta be able to hear passenger, aka Dennis. So let's see. We're gonna have to troubleshoot the sound. Uh, Last time on the previous challenge, the sound was a bit low. So let's see. Um, First of all, let's see if he's alive.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Testing, testing.
So
Can you hear me?
let's see how. Let's see what they say. Is the sound level for passenger okay?
Hello, everybody.
Or do I need to change maybe? Let's see.
Oh, yeah, I'm in echo, right? The
Yeah.
stream is behind a little bit. Turning off the volume here.
Yeah. Hmm. I wonder.
Anybody, let us know.
He's a little low.
Kinda low.
Kind
Maybe.
of low. Hmm.
Let's see. Hello, hello.
Okay. Someone saying sounds fine. Kind of low. How do I fix that? Settings, audio.
I got all my volumes at max over here, so it's little I can do to change it.
Yeah.
You can hear me fine, right, with the volume?
Me? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear you just fine. Hmm. All right. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe I'll. It's better than last time. All right.
I'm improving every time.
All right. Let's see. So what I did was yeah.
Yeah, I get that a lot, you know, the Barry White comparison. I try to pitch as much as possible.
Yeah. You just need to sit on something hard.
Squeeze my pants a little bit.
Yeah. So I think we start with deer barks. What was the topic again, Dennis?
Basically, the topic, I don't have the document open. There was an alien breed that impregnated women on Earth, and that way they took over mankind, basically.
Mm,
So there were spores in the air that impregnated the women, basically.
right. Well, that's cool. I think deer barks here is really nice. It's very like almost like Art Deco. Um, what's it called? The name escapes me. Bioshock.
Yeah, it's got that cool retro sci-fi feeling to it.
Yeah, I think there is some minor issues though. I think like posturing and so on that could have been done better. Um, Especially eye contact.
The relation between the characters.
Yeah, exactly. The guy, he's kind of looking over her head, um, and not really like paying attention. Same for the woman. She is looking at him, but I think it could be slightly better. Like, sorry. something got caught in my throat. Um,
Wash it away with beers.
I wish I had some more. I had a beer for dinner.
Yeah, you really need to work on your supplies. Like have a
Yeah.
couple of crates for
But
extra beer.
I can't be getting wasted when kids are around.
Good example for the YouTube generation.
Yeah, exactly. And for my
They
children.
start fading.
Yeah. So do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you mentioned that he was having some troubles with the values, and he also included like a black and white sketch, and there it was clear that there was little value range, but I think he really improved that in the colored version of the image.
Yeah.
And I still think that yeah, maybe using some brighter colors and some darks could really benefit the image as well for the readability. Like maybe some more contrast and some more highlights at places, basically. But yeah, I think for the values with the colored version, this actually works really cool with the secondary figures on the side, more in the background, basically this way.
Yeah.
It's
I
a cool idea, also, I think, to show them in a different pose, basically. It's really
hmm
cool.
Yeah, and I think the backdrop works really well. I think it's a little bit too cryptic at the moment. It has to be a little bit more worked on. Um, but as a general idea of, I'm assuming it's like the mothership.
At first glance, when I saw the piece posted, I thought it was actually Deadpool, the action hero.
Uh-huh. No, I think there's flying discs, right? And fighter jets chasing them. So it looks like it's an aerial battle, but then the V shape. Maybe it's just like a graphic element. Um, but either way, I think it needs to be enhanced a bit more. They sit a little bit when it comes to value too close to it. Um, so everything feels like it's merging. So by just separating them slightly, it'll read a lot better. And you could also separate them by changing the color of it, not having it blue. I think it would help also to um, separate them.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that from the idea where the aliens basically use their spores or their devious ways to take over. This is more a moment where both agree to it. The alien has taken over in a different way. He's
Yeah,
kind of like he's controlling his mind or something.
yeah, exactly. It's really cool.
The art,
There's,
the art of seduction.
yeah, yeah. I think there's small issues overall, like in how he's drawn the or painted the pockets and so on. It flattens a little bit too much. Also, um, I mean, it's a balancing act, right? Where it's very stylized and simplified, and I really love it that it's not like super realistic materials or light or anything. But I think it's just if you're gonna keep it this kind of cleaner way of doing it. You still need to work with what's there, and you can do that by just paying closer attention to shapes, um, colors, and so on. But I think it's a really good start. He mentioned that he didn't have time to finish it, right?
Hmm. Yeah, that's. I remember from last time. He also had a piece that was really strong, and this one is also really strong again. So
Yeah,
I would really encourage him to don't be too hard on himself, and really put the time in to actually finish those, because the illustrations and the images are really strong and well worth finishing, I think.
yeah. He definitely last challenge we talked that he had this editorial uh, feeling in his illustrations, and I think it's true. It's very editorial. Let me see if I can quickly.
One thing that stands out for me, and I think he mentioned that himself as well, is that they're lacking feet. I think if they would be positioned a little bit differently, cutting people off by the feet makes them kind of floaty somehow. So
I don't think it matters that much. I think the biggest problem is that it's equally treated all the way down. You know, like it's just black going out of the frame.
hmm
I think that is the biggest issue. I just gonna try something to see. I was thinking first to see if we could kind of use an Art Deco frame to
hmm
kind of graphically cut them so it becomes more of like a window into the scene rather than them have just trailing out of the frame.
yeah, would also be like a typical graphical thing they used back in those days with the advertisements.
Yeah, exactly. But that opens just more issues of squeezing the characters in and so on. But something like that, even you could even just uh, like have them not having so much contrast the lower down you get, just so that it doesn't go equally strong out of the frame of the painting.
Yeah, I think thinking of it like that, also with that other piece, his work would be really cool to show like the wall art you have in Bioshock, and you can take
Mm,
the old advertisements, put some old fonts on it or something, or to really set the tone of an environment through the illustrations you hang around, in games
yeah,
like Fallout or Bioshock, that kind of stuff.
yeah, definitely. Brendan suggested it would be cool with like a muka style background patterns. But that's more or less what I did. But my version of what I found was it's just Art Deco, while Muka had way more um, uh, elaborate frame. Um, I'll just quickly Google one, but it's in the same time time genre. You know, Muka had these kind of very heavy patterns.
Looking at the green light coming from the bottom now, it could also be cool to have some of the spores, floating up like little pollen in the air or something.
Yeah, but the problem is that one of the things I was thinking about is that you're starting to remove it from this illustration, kind of editorial style illustration, and you're starting to make it more of a scene.
hmm
And I think that is something maybe he doesn't want. And because if you have having to start explaining a lot more, you have to remove it from its simplicity. And yeah,
Put a lot of extra work in it.
a lot of what?
A lot of extra work in it. That way,
Yeah, yeah,
you're kind of showing more, but it also convicts you to actually having to work it out and explain better, basically.
yeah, exactly. You're going to remove from the strength of the simplicity that he manages to capture, but without changing too much. Actually, let me remove.
Yeah, I think it's cool how you instantly notice that interaction moment between them. It's something I would have totally looked beyond just looking at technical stuff or
Yeah,
it's
and also his leg is forward and cutting, or is creating this tension between them, unnecessary tension. Um, so by turning his leg down more, it created this less of a harsh interaction. Like it's what's it called? Um, I can't find the word for it, but it's like Keikai Kotaki. He talks about it a lot. That instead of overlapping, you're just putting it almost touching, and it's
Okay.
creating this unnecessary tension between two forms. So you could either overlap them or relax the relationship between them.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, you kind of, it becomes a focal point in its own almost, where you
yeah, exactly.
start looking at those two shapes interacting with each other.
So we look at the original; those two legs now are so like there's so much tension there. Focal focus. Yeah, I'd say those are the biggest changes needed. And there's minor tweaks like for his anatomy. I tried to fix it with the best time frame, but I'd say it's not a lot that needs to be changed. I think the base is really cool. I would love for him to continue developing it,
Yep.
and
Just like with the last piece,
yeah,
we need to see some updates.
and possibly what he could do is introduce not just blues but maybe yellows in the background to help alleviate the kind of monochromatic feel,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of liven it up a bit and giving the blues contrast, because otherwise she's just going to be the only source of contrast, and it might not be the best for the illustration. So by introducing some oranges or yellows, I think it'll serve the painting better.
Some complementary colors.
Yeah, a little bit. Tangent, thanks, Koro. Let's save. Whoop. Let's save that one.
Yep, good stuff. Looking forward to the next entry.
Okay, the next one. It's a common. It's what's his name? I misspelled his name. Sayart. Um,
Yeah, that's another piece we could see develop from the sketch point all the way to that final piece. It's something I really enjoy looking at all the time, seeing the ideas, the original sketches.
yeah, definitely. Uh, Lots of feedback as well for him, which was cool to see. Yeah, made me happy to see a lot of people giving their point of views and um, and see how it developed. Um, I should actually, for the sake of showing, show his initial thumbs. Um,
Yep. Yeah, those are really strong. It's some of them are worth to get a render of their own. It's Holmes does that as well, where they release his sketches in advance and
yeah,
really benefits from that in the final elements, picking the best one and working it all the way to its final stage using the feedback given. It's really good stuff.
yeah. So here's Sayart's thumbnails. I think in these thumbnails, the biggest problem for me was just all based on the concept and not the image. Like he was chasing the idea of it rather than
The
the
impregnation of the aliens,
uh,
reflective woman.
yeah, but yeah, exactly. Too concrete. Like it wasn't the picture. Like he was just thinking about the more of the pose or the in, taken out of context of an illustration. I think the closest one, what I think is most interesting is this one. Like it looks like she's sitting in shadow in some weird machine, and that could easily become like the painting itself.
Hmm.
I think that one is the strongest as a like thumbnail for an illustration, while a lot of the other ones are more too descriptive to like for production rather than yeah.
They're more informative and less storytelling, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's good for exploration, of course. It's always good to find an image or a position that works best for you, basically.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining about them in per se. I'm just saying that it's great to do that to chase for yourself to get the idea of like what you want to do and what idea you want to chase. You know, so that it's good to just explore the idea way of producing an idea.
hmm
And I think he did get the idea somehow. This like obviously this woman over here is the woman birthing, and then I guess this one is the strapped, horrible looking machine.
Yep. And what I like about that second stage, and this stage actually, the graphic style of it could actually already be used for a final image somehow. It's got that cel shaded kind of rendering look to it, or a little bit like Mobius, the comic book
Mm,
feel.
sure, definitely. I think in order for that to work, you just had to redraw it. But as a style, like that clean cells, I think it does work.
hmm
It just requires like fiddling with it.
And what I lack in this image a little bit is the interaction. To me, this is more like two sketches next to each other, basically. And I would really look into have some more interaction if you would take that sketch further. It's,
Oh, you mean the one, the line art one?
yeah.
I don't think it's intended to be a scene.
Yeah, yeah,
I
of
think
course.
it's just two separate ideas worked up more.
hmm
Um,
Also, kind of like the idea of that dude sitting in that chair, kind of like
yeah,
a helpless baby and then being pregnant himself. So it's a cool contradiction there.
yeah. Um, so the final image, I'm assuming it's some sort of harvesting machine. Um,
Or an incubator could also be.
yeah,
That goes
or
the other way around.
yeah, they're like a magazine being pushed in. Um, I think because of that, it's not clearly. I hear the echo, by the way. Uh,
My echo.
yeah, my voice I hear through you.
Oh, I'm good on my end. I don't
Huh?
hear anything wrong.
Oh, that's weird.
Echo, echo.
Not your voice, but I can hear me. Anyways, so it doesn't matter.
Maybe
Um,
it's the volume of the Twitch stream.
mine's muted, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I think let's talk about Sayar's. I think it's a little bit confusing of the story of what's happening. Like I get it that she's in a machine that have her strapped there, um, and for me having those old handcuffs of prisoners, I get the idea that he might want to communicate that she's a prisoner,
hmm
but I think the solution of the legs is way better. Like that, it has more of a modern or alien way of attaching her. While on her hands, they're like old slavery.
Yeah, yeah. I see what you mean. It's the aliens would kind of basically just use her, no respect for her and hang her up like a useless body, basically.
Yeah.
You know,
So
the handcuffs are more a sign of captivity that mankind came up with,
yeah,
basically.
exactly. So like I would probably have done something else with her arms. Oh, if you want to make her restrained, I think that's fine. But I think you got to give it some sort of twist to it, just to separate from what we would assume a prisoner to be in and what the aliens would do, like you mentioned. So probably some sort of that we get the idea, like on the legs, it looks very like a contraption that she's there stuck, uh, but maybe some more elaborate way of attaching her, or maybe attached to her elbows as well. Just something to further make it obvious that it's not humans who have captured her, but aliens.
Find some freaky way for her to get caught up.
Yeah. And when it comes, uh, like I said, it's a bit confusing also when we think about all the steps and how they interact. One problem is that she has a green harness, blue tubes, yellow baby aliens, and it doesn't like come across as one thing.
I did a little overpaint for this painting in the forum where I tried to unify the colors a little bit more because I was kind of thinking the same thing that your eyes are looking all over the place like, oh, there's a yellow thing over there, there's blue things over there, there's the pink and the green playing for attention, and then there's the gray machine behind it. So I tried to neutralize it a little bit more with some color lookup and some color balance. And I think that could also add to the atmosphere. Make it a little bit more moody, or maybe use some blues, or to give some sort of a mysterious vibe to it. It is a kind of a gruesome scene, which is really well lit, where I would expect a little bit more darkness or mystery, or a scary vibe going on, basically.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a big issue in this one. It's and you could notice it early in the thumbnails, which I mentioned, is that he goes very went very production art rather than illustration in the way he approached the thumbnails. So in return also in the way he's described the scene, it's very like this is what you have to model today,
Mm.
kind of way of presenting the idea. While he can definitely like create more of a setting and like you said more mood.
What I was thinking also, to really create an environment out of it, is that you could actually like copy this, and then maybe copy like two behind, even, so you create more depth, and that there are like more babies or more people hanging that way. Just copying the whole part and then putting this more to the right of the screen and trying to make a whole room of incubators that way. That could also
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's also an issue. Like the same issue is that it's very done for production. Like I mentioned, it's very hard to see it as a place or a person in a scene. It's just too descriptive.
which of course isn't a bad thing if you want to make the 3D modelers very happy. But
Yeah,
if you want to tell a story about what's going on, then you might indeed consider looking into the story elements and the atmosphere of the scene and making more of an entire environment out of it. Indeed.
Yeah, but in a way as well, I can understand that he doesn't want to do that, and he wanted to get away with, like in that sense, getting away with not having to do a full scene.
Hmm.
Uh, but in any case, I think it's important to try to infuse as much as possible to hint of a scenario or a scene, because, like I mentioned, it's a little bit in between illustration and concept, and it's not really strong in either way. You know, if it's going to be a concept, he should have done like more descriptive things, and making it more, like the actual design. Uh, or if you want to do an illustration, he needs to up the illustration aspect.
Hmm. And then really focus on the storytelling element and the one thing you want to show the most, and then you don't need to render out the entire machine as much. Or
Exactly.
and so that's also, I think, what you mentioned in the thumbnail stage, where if he would have gone created this scene already, he would also have known what his focal point would have been, and would have only needed to render that area basically, instead of going the entire way of being very descriptive in all the forms, and making more a design image that way.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like in general, he goes very a lot of shadows go to black too fast. There's no subtlety in the range. It's an easy thing to fix with, like, you can make a layer called lighter color and just use a not black color and paint away the absolute darkest part of the painting. It will like alleviate a lot of unnecessary contrast, and you can kind of bathe parts in it better.
I do that very crude sometimes, or I just add another layer with a usually complementary color, and then I put that on a very low opacity, basically. So you create a little bit of a gray that way.
Mm, maybe he doesn't want more. We're kind of forcing that concept into his illustration, that it should be more than one. So
Yeah,
let's.
well, it was when I saw it, I was like, yeah, that would be really cool to see a whole room out of these guys. So that's kind of why I brought it up. But
Yeah, but you could easily have like more machines, maybe babies in different stages, like in Alien 3, was it, or Alien 4? Like
I was thinking,
failed attempts.
I was thinking that when you just had the copy there, it could also be as mirror image, and then there could be like some in between screen with some information on there, like organs, or
Mm.
some data stuff or whatever, where you really see like, oh, the machine is reading her out, or gathering data or information
Yeah,
on
that,
her.
that could there could be as well, like monitoring.
Hmm.
Another
Like
thing,
an incubation progress meter or something.
yeah, yeah, I like the things he has going on with the veins and so on, and making her feel almost translucent.
Hmm.
Um, one problem I find is her skin tone has like a local variety in it, but I would probably try to make like the body shifting color a little bit more, just so that uh, when he's so that the belly will have more saturation. So by removing some saturation in the hands and feet, we're looking more towards the stomach.
And overpaint I did, I kind of colored the stomach the same color as the incubator, so to say, to really
Yeah,
indicate that to make a connection between those two, that you really see from it's going from the incubator right inside of her.
yeah, exactly. That was one of the points also. Uh, One of the first thing we talked about was that it felt like it's not connected correctly. The parts is all different colors, and you don't get the narrative as easily as you could be.
Yep. Yeah, and we're finding critical points, but I have to say I really like the image. It's a really cool and strong image that deserves to be taken further. And either if you want to go the design route, then you really can render it out and describe all the elements in there, or like Bjorn is doing now, if you really want to take it to a full environment concept, there's a lot of room for that as well. So
Yeah,
definitely look into taking this one further.
yeah. It's an interesting image, an interesting concept. It just needs to tighten the screws, you know, and decide yourself what's the intent.
I love what you did with that little blur, by the way, how that sets apart the foreground and the background in there.
Mm.
It's really cool,
Cheap trick.
but always works.
Yeah.
And indeed, some more light coming off that incubator. I mean, if there was such a bright machine, you would definitely get some more fall off from that.
Mm. Yeah, it's that the elusive last 5% that you have to try to chase. That that's always hard to figure out what changes you need to do. But the more you do them, and the more you try to like do your damnedest to get there, the more you learn yourself of where you want to take your illustrations. What I usually did at the beginning was I looked at people who were far better at illustrations than me and tried to reverse engineer their thinking.
Hmm.
Like, why did they add these things in their painting, and how can I do it my way? Like in my painting. Obviously, I can't add like a burning helicopter in the background when I have to paint the Smurfs. But you have to try to think about, okay, what can I add in my Smurf settings that could act the same way? Like, what element is missing in mine?
Hmm.
And I think that's an important thing to try to see. Like,
It's a skill on its own, learning to find what really uh, triggers you in an image when you see it, and then to indeed try to replicate that yourself, basically,
yeah,
and preferably by just doing your own work, but just being inspired by it, just seeing like that's what I want to go for, or my image needs uh, uh, more interesting lighting or something. You
mm,
could easily copy lighting from that image, but it's also something you could be aware of from that moment on, and then apply to all of your works. That you really benefit from that.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, this it's really tricky to do. But like I said, the more you do it, the more you learn. Um, you teach yourself like what's interesting, and what you like to the tricks you need to do to get it the way you want it.
But what I think is really strong about this image is I really like the submissive, meditative state that comes really across really well from the character.
Yeah,
It's really you feel this moment and you can really connect like that's a really bad position to be in.
yeah, it's very exposed. Like you're hanging there with your butt in a machine. It can't be. It can't be pleasant.
I imagine Anal probing nobody wants to
Yeah,
anymore.
but by multiple devices there.
Yep. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, so I think that's it for say art. Let's toggle, see the changes. That's usually the thing, like with the paintings, is that there's so much groundwork already laid in,
Hmm.
and there's those little moves, those little things that change and being added that makes it so much so much stronger by just doing certain little tweaks, certain little moves. Uh,
And an extra pair of eyes always helps, of course. You know, you're
yeah,
working on your own image and you're focusing on so many things that you sometimes come to a point where you really don't see anything to improve anymore, and somebody else taking a fresh approach to it can then really open up an image again.
yeah, exactly. All right, we have done Dearbard, we have done Sayart. Uh, Here's Michal, but he didn't finish. He posted it anyways. So this is his, I guess, thumbnails, design exploration. Um,
The infector dude,
yeah,
as I call him.
yeah. And here's the painting he tried to paint without line art and so on. Obviously, he's not finished. Um, I think when we look at just the concept, I think it's a cool concept. I think the construction of the Viper hood kind of bat wings thing. Uh, it's an interesting shape. I think that uh, the basic idea is cool. I think the execution could be stronger. Like the problem, like the arms are the same width. Uh, it'll not look interesting in a 3D space. Um, like the thumbnail there, it looks like it's more layered and that he has almost like more than one arm, but it's cut
Hmm.
in separate corners. I think that's a lot cooler, and I think you could easily have shown he could easily shown it by separating the arms and making the segments way more abstract, so that when we see the human arms, we see that it's not a solid structure, and making the arm look weak, but by just having it more of like a graphical shape to it, so that we get that something is off.
I think the idea he is trying to explain here is the most left image also showing that he's going from somewhat of an undercover human into this boo, I'm gonna scare you
Hmm.
transition basically, and I think that informed his anatomy a little bit as well.
Yeah, but like if you look at the thumbnails, he looks hunched over, and we can see the layers of his wings on the
Hmm.
body. So I think by having the design, which I was getting to, first the arms I was discussing, but then having the hood, I would say having the hood in layers rather than just one plane.
Hmm.
I think by just having it in one shape, it will never look as cool as you could do it with more than one. Like a contrast of shapes, contrast of light, so that he could easily open. So when he folds in, he has one massive arm or two, but then when he opens up, his arms are segmented out, and
Hmm.
his neck is segmented out. So it's just not one big umbrella shape, but it's like multiple. and I'm quite sure it will look a lot more impressive in animation and movement.
You get this flattering idea with all these things going behind each other, basically.
Yeah, exactly, and it'll have way more impact because they can move independently from each other as well. Otherwise, when he falls out, it's just going to be
Flop, and
yeah,
it's
exactly. And and you can also design the arms so that the way they're positioned or the way they're structured, we keep looking back towards the center. So that becomes like the centerpiece rather than overstating the centerpiece. Like on his original, it just becomes an X,
hmm
and that's it. It's like the idea is cool, but the execution could be way stronger. Like thinking that extra step of how would he actually move, and then trying to figure out how should he actually move, and am I having the best solution to it?
thinking how limbs could be like off, or maybe he has like different movements with his arms and makes really strange movements that way.
Yeah, exactly. And
Kind of like you see with the Dead Space, they do that really well with
yeah,
like really limbs in different directions and
yeah, exactly. And I always try to imagine them moving when I do concepts. How would this character move around? It always informs me of uh, the character. And then if a client asks, what does it look like attacking? I have already figured that out. And the motion is already supported in the concept.
I think that also makes the sketches more dynamic in many
Mm,
ways if you keep that in mind in advance.
yeah,
You're not thinking about what's the first introduction pose or something, but much more like how would the character operate in the universe he lives in, basically.
yeah, exactly. And the more of those layers you think about, the more you can push the concept. And also, not necessarily just up the concept to bigger and stranger things, but that could also mean knowing when to pull things back and underplay something in order for another section to really shine.
hmm
It's easy to just go try to up yourself in every aspect of a design, but it requires thinking to know where to have a simple design in conjunction with something more elaborate, so that you get that play of interesting contrast in that aspect as well as shapes and values and colors. It's the more you're aware of things, I think there's always going to be a stronger outcome.
Yeah, and the contrast can also be shown like in functionality. Like it could be having one very strong element to him, while another part of him is really weak. He might have a broken leg, but a very strong, powerful arm or something. Can also create a nice balance that way. So
Yeah, definitely. And I also think on a different note, like I'm changing the way his head is, because everything else folds out, and I think people look at faces, the first thing they look at, uh, and I think if you would design that his face folds out as well in layers, but having them all point down towards the middle, I think that would be a cool thing.
kind of like a lizard neck or something with all
A
these
little bit,
folds.
but imagine his skin folds forward, and we can see the inside of his skull, uh, like underneath the skin backwards. I think that will be a cool, like abstract contrast in like when he flexes out, and even his face flexes, and the general design lines goes down towards the middle, where like the source of the infection or spores. Thanks for the host, by the way, Luminous Boy Studio. So looking at his painting, I think we have informed the design to the extent that this is void. I think he just tried to paint a little bit just to take it further, but I think what would be best is for him to just kind of go back, completely design the character, or actively do these decisions while painting the actual painting of the concept, and not. I can clearly see, like, if we switch off the changes, that he has just looked at the original concept and just tick the boxes of what needs to be where.
I actually think that this better concept, working that one out in color, would have provided for a better painting than the one he's chosen for now.
Yeah, but then he gets the same problem as Sayart did with the incubator concept. It's in between. It's not. He's trying to bridge the two, right? And I think that's it's okay to do as long as you're aware of the intent, right? That if I could paint this up to make it look interesting, but it should then be a painted concept, and it should be aimed towards production. And if you're going to do an illustration with him, you have to think about that, like suggested animation, character, personality, awesome pose, and not just him standing flexing, you know. And
That's a good point. It's really something you need to be aware of before you even start.
yeah, yeah, like what's the intent of the thing, right? So here we can see he's attempted to pose it, but it's bridging back to production art way too much. Like he's not taking it to 100%. Like he's imagining him standing somewhere, maybe on the hood of a car and spraying these seeds out or whatever. He's just standing there, kind of. And then this his original like black and white sketch serves the purpose of explaining the design way better, which removes the impact of the illustration. The illustration is just in the middle of the road too much. Just neither illustration or concept.
Yep. Yeah, in his defense, he didn't get to really finish it. So
No, absolutely, absolutely. But I think it's a valid point to comment on that. We have seen two now out of three who sits in that kind of awkward middle ground of is it an illustration or a concept, and I think it's important that you have more like deliberate thoughts to it. When,
decide in advance if you really want to show a design and a functionality, or that you really want to show the character in his environment in the story moment already, basically.
yeah, exactly. But then you're always going to have the issue of the design if you're going to go for illustration straight off the bat.
So ideally, you do both and then work out a final image that way.
No, ideally is let's say you do thumbnail, right? So we do a little thumbnail of, let's say we're gonna paint his, right? So we do him standing, like I said, on the roof of a car. Right? So we plot out the car, we plot out the value design of the illustration. We see him kind of kneeling on top of the car. Blah. I don't know. Let's do it a little bit more in a more dynamic angle. We like that. So this obviously is a thumbnail for an illustration. It's not a thumbnail for a design. So, but at the same time, now that we choose to start painting this, I mean, if you want to practice designing, you know, think it out before you paint it. You can start designing You know, like is he looking down at some soldiers down here? They're running and trying to shoot or something, and he has his hole, and you can start designing the body parts and so on, and really think it through. Um, but you should then always know about the details and keep painting on the illustration and not painting a production concept. And and if you want to paint a cool production concept, just take the thumbnail and start rendering accurate light, you know, set mood and all these things. So you can still see him, but it's still going to be geared. The initial start is geared towards production, right? He's not in a pose, dramatic camera, dramatic light. Well, starting to thumbnail the illustration is you have to just nail those things from the get-go. Like, what's the intent of the illustration, what's the lighting setup, you know, how do I want to present the character, rather than what is the design.
And then it becomes more a combination of things instead of a and or.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And in illustrations you can hide information. It's even better in an illustration if you hide lots of information about the design and only show what's really cool about the design, right? And when you're doing the thumbnail, you need to think, what do I want to say, and what is the character, and how can I explain it in an illustration the best way? While production art orientated is way more just, okay, what is the actual design? How does he move? What's the, you know, the meat and bone? So that for me is completely two different. And um, where is it? There is it. Looking at his painting of his creature and my just quick thumbnail of it sitting on a roof car is completely different impression. Even though mine is very suggestive, you can still see the difference in approach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the where it fails. A lot of people fail is that they don't know the difference of where to go.
And I do think in a concept art pipeline, it can go either way around. You know,
Yeah.
it can be inspired by the atmosphere, the power, the whole vibe of the creature from the cats you did, and then start figuring out like what would the design be like, or you could start the other way around, have that design, and then try to really show them in a scene like this, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Bye, Brendan. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. All right, I think that's Michal. Who's left?
We have the
And Tibor.
what will appear on the screen?
It's coming. It's coming. So he did this kind of Super Mario. It's very cryptic. I don't fully understand. He's immune to brain freeze. It's a funny idea, but it's a bit hard to figure out.
It kind of feels like one of those puzzles where I need to fill in my own words to find the whole sentence.
Yeah. Hey, Tibor. We're just opened your picture. It's a bit hard to get. It's a cool ideas though. It's a little bit the kind of communication of ideas is a bit hard. I mean, obviously it's a quick sketch.
I am intrigued with the baby with the light on his head too. What happened there?
Tibor is saying we're free to skip it. But I think that being said, I think it still has some cool ideas, like these horns hidden and mushroom head. Uh, Obviously, like it is a bit of a joke, you could see it, but still, there's some cool ideas there.
I like that he's thinking about the transition, like with the characters on the left, you see the alien version and the more human version,
Mm,
kind of trying to find a middle ground between them. And
yeah,
that goes well from this sketch.
yeah. I think it would be cool, like I think these are horns or whatever they are, if they would be like flaps that they can open, like a second set of ears, like it can listen with those flaps, and then the flaps go down again. So that would be fun.
Yep, and you can't go wrong with Mario, of course.
Mm. It's cool. Like when he's excited, his eyes becomes pixelated. I think that's a cute touch. It's a cool idea. But like Tibor himself says, uh, it's a bit too loose to be able to fully engage in it. So
Interesting ideas still.
yeah, yeah. So arms. Let's do arms.
Ah, yes, the big environment piece.
I think I think at places it's absolutely brilliant, and at other places it becomes very kind of counterproductive.
There is a whole lot going on.
Indeed.
It is. I think it's a really cool painting if you take it like a museum piece, where you stand in front of it and think like, oh, there's something happening in the left corner, and there's something happening in the right corner, and
Yeah.
there's something in the distance. But as a concept or illustration to bring across a story or certain focal points, I think it's way too busy and there's way too many things going on.
I mean, that being said, we have to consider he's made. I actually don't know if it's a he or she. Uh, Arms have decided to fill the scene with all these things, probably with an intent for some reason, and I don't think it's just random.
No, that's what I say. It's really cool to look around the image.
Yeah,
I discovered those distant plants in one of the last moments, and then I was like, oh, cool. There's like another big plant infecting people and all that. And
mm,
then the guy with the balloons is there's a lot to see. And what I also like is that his overall painterly style for it. You know, you don't see
yeah,
like a photo bashed style or an overly use of 3D or something. There's a really cool overall painterly feel to everything in the image. There's just a whole lot of stuff in the image.
yeah. I think there's certain like picture-wise issues. I think this top left place is too heavy. Well, it's too much dark leaves up there. It doesn't. It kind of stops the painting straight off the bat. Uh, like it pushes a harsh contrast line that doesn't help the read of the painting. Uh, the next issue is the branch going fully across the lower half of the painting. Um, it it removes kind of what's it called, uh, stacks information in a negative way. Like we can't see the players because they're hidden behind a branch. And Obs says he's a he, so he's a he. Um, so my solution would be like we see the spores of a bug there, spores of a bug there, but the problem is the spores go tangent with her arm. Um, so what I would probably suggest is shift the placement of them a little bit more better. So we could have, for example, he could still have a high contrast point at the top corner, you know, because he chose to have it up there. But by showing that there's a bug sitting up there, it would allow us to
Drag inwards to the image again.
yeah, exactly. So we can freely move through the image, but without being like plugged by this massive black line at the bottom of the image. Then we can see the characters act more like they are doing with each other. You know, they're sitting and talking, casually conversating while she is stealth walking around and spreading the disease. I guessing because she says shush to us, she's the source. I assume.
She's got something to hide, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, freaky.
I'm also thinking that the trap-like stairway-like structure of the tree branch also takes a lot of attention. Also because it's
Yeah,
high contrast already.
yeah, the zigzag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And that my intent is to remove it. You can still have a branch here in the foreground. Um, we can still see it. You know, you can put in some leaves as a foreground element, so we get that it's uh, a tree here and not just a branch that we're kind of peeking through clearing.
Mm-hmm. But with less invasive shapes, not taking as much attention as the.
Yeah. Um, and there's also a shift in color. These people sitting here are quite desaturated and have a specific feel to them. Like we can see that the shadows are gray, blue-ish, and the light is quite white. And then the fence turns green, and the shadow side doesn't have the blue in it anymore. It just goes to black, uh, and I think it creates this odd pack of crayon feel. You know, it he just throws all the colors in.
Gives a bit of an incoherent collage feeling.
Yeah, exactly. So by gently pushing them closer to each other, I think it'll be a better full readability. Like you'll starting to pick the parts out rather than just being hit in the face by everything. Um, and another thing, this girl, she's walking. Is she dragging the spore thing? Because we can see her other arm.
I would think that the sporting would be lying on the floor behind her. That would make most sense to me.
Yeah. So maybe show her hand. Um, I really love the stylization of the anatomy, by the way. They're really cool. Oh, so she's almost says she's just the breed.
There is two things which bother me a little bit as well. That is the lady on the right side
Hmm.
is clearly looking outside of the image.
Mm.
That is kind of sending me away from the image, basically. really get curious what's going on outside of the image, basically.
But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that shows that there's a world outside.
hmm And on the other hand, I would think that for our reading direction, maybe the girl could be flipped horizontally so that she's walking inwards the image, basically.
No, I don't think it. I don't think that. Personally, no, I don't think it's needed to be changed. Oh, so Ohms says almost all women are pregnant. Ah, right. That's a pretty cool little detail.
Young parents on the left,
Yeah,
and then the older couple on the right.
I think there's two spore sections, dead center of the image. Uh, I don't think it's needed. I think it is causing a really like not balanced image by having two sources uh, so close to each other in the middle of the image.
And it continues even in the background. There's even a third object which you
Yeah,
want to explore.
yeah. I think also what would be probably good is just play with the hierarchy of the size of them, and you can still, if you really want, have it in center, but offset it slightly. You know, maybe have smaller spots of spores, and then you can have it maybe underneath the bench as well, just to kind of help the eye travel around to see like where is there more spores. Like he has some up in the tree up here as well. Um, so it's just not such like focused at the center of the image.
I think something like giving the overall image more of a overall color, like overlaid layer or something, and then the complementary color of them could be spores. That could really make them stand out from the image more. That there's really spots where you can pick them out easily. So
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely. I mean, I think the colors are. Um, I think the palette is too broad.
mhm.
Uh, they're leaning too much to each end of the spectrum or gamut. Like one thing that Gurney talks about is like that limitation. If you take the color wheel and you take out the triangle of the color wheel and you offset an edge, for example, etc. But what you got to do is you got to stay within that groupation of colors. And I think the problem with Ohms is that his blues, for example, um, like they're very like purple or cold, and then there's really hot pink, and then there's green. And I think what James Gurney talked about is that you can still have them, but they have to be more have a more stronger hierarchy. Like if you look at the like um, this section, and we remove the girl and the greens up there. Like here, the colors are a lot more harmonious, and
Mhm.
the longer we look at the painting, the more we see the greens, the more we see the subtleties, you know, like the warm highlight of his head and so on. And it's making a lot more sense. And in that way, he could have added way more saturation, way more life in his painting by maintaining the palette that he's already established well.
Mhm.
But then when we zoom out, he goes like sick green, super hot pink, strange blue, and the palette gets broken, and it's like a beginning issue, like when you're starting to decide on the colors. I think Arms would obviously he doesn't want to paint monochromatically. He just needs to do some research of how to boost colors and have variety within a gamut, and not just throw everything in there.
And I also think it could benefit from looking a little bit closer at how values work locally in an image. Like the blues from the tower in the background are very close to blues in the foreground again.
Yeah,
You would have much more atmospheric perspective for the towers in the background, for example, and the blue would be influenced by the sky color much more. And that way, with those value and layer separations, where you kind of divide it in a foreground, middle ground, and background, you also automatically end up with fewer value differences, and you know what kind of value range you need to be working in, basically. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, he flattens the depth a lot uh,
hmm
by doing that. I'm trying to replace some of his colors. It's kind of just not wanting to do what I wanted to do.
yeah, it's kind of hard to find a middle ground with so many colors out there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think taking down the background a whole bit to making that one more unified color could help a lot.
Yeah, yeah. But one thing that I really do love about it is what you mentioned is that we it's like a museum piece.
hmm
We sit and look everywhere and like search for clues, which I think is great.
Yep, and I really like the painterly style of the characters, like the guy with
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
boots, and if applied, with a little bit more planning to this scene, if the characters had some more space and the background was a little bit more quiet on the eyes, basically, I really think there is some cool character stories going on, which are painted really nicely.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely agree. Uh, it's interesting to see the choice of character or stylization of the anatomy. I didn't think I don't know why, but I didn't think Ohms had that in him based on the first challenge.
Which was much more in a side scroller adventure characters.
Yeah, it was a different flavor to it,
hmm
and I really find the couple sitting there really good. While I think the girl is not as strong at all compared to the other characters, and I think a big problem which contributes to it is the broad palette. She's like almost every color in the crayon box, um, and also the light is very intense. Like her jacket or her shirt goes full white in the rim light, while a pink shirt can't really go that white.
It's kind of like the other elements in the image are better rendered than the main focal point, which
Yeah,
would almost indicate that he is trying too hard on that element, and it's more relaxing and having fun doing the side characters and all that stuff. While those are actually strongest, so I
yeah,
would say like stay in that mindset of the side characters. You know, just have fun and yeah, approach those focal points the same way.
yeah, exactly. Maybe think more about like he obviously has thought a lot about where the eye should go, and just be more aware of of where to push, like you said.
My favorite of the characters is the balloon guy. I really like the rendering of those balloons, how they the painterly style of that.
Mm, definitely. And I think I didn't notice that there's a guy there behind the balloon guy, which I'm lifting out.
Yeah, this is really a piece that could be like on big canvas, you know, where you can stand in front of it and be like, hey, there is a little corner to explore there.
Yeah, which is a good thing, definitely. It's just work on the kind of coherency. I think that's the biggest flaw at the moment. It's just it goes a little bit too crazy. You can still have lots of colors. It's I don't think that's the issue. I think it's just that the colors are too broad. They don't sit next to each other in a good way.
I think that when I look back at the previous image, I also recall that he removed quite a few background elements and some rocks that were in the painting, and basically some additional elements that don't really need to be in the painting.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he could really benefit from being confident, just showing like 5 or 6 main elements in your image, like maybe two
Yeah,
or three characters and 3 or 1 or 2 rocks next to that, and that's usually enough. You know, you don't need to put as much detail or things in the foreground, middle ground, and background. You can really, yeah, maybe permit yourself to be a little bit more lazy, and that way you can also really focus on those fewer elements you have in the image, so you can improve those.
yeah, exactly. It's not a race about adding things. It's making sure that what's there is needed and as strong as possible, and question some of the design decisions. For example, like there's a lot of soft shapes up there, like the pillars and so on, and then there's very boxy towers sitting next to them. You might want to question like why are they that way, and like why do you want them to contribute so much noise to the scene? I mean, obviously you can keep them there if you want, but the more you're aware of why you choose to have that block there, for example, um, it makes more sense because a lot of times the image gets broken up just by the sheer fact that there's so many different shapes and colors, and it's a bit confusing. Um,
And it's also everything you put in there needs work, and you know you need to justify that to yourself in some way. Where you could actually make it much smarter if you just have a fewer elements in there and make it a much more manageable job. Because if you have an image like this with so many elements in there, you're almost going to be like, I need to render out all those parts, and I need to take care of this area, that area, and it almost becomes overwhelming that way if you want to finish the image. While if you have fewer elements, it becomes much more of a manageable task that way.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And another thing, the spores, they're all it's the pixel density of them. They're way too small compared to the rest of the image. It's like you've used 1 pixel scatter brush while the rest of the painting is painted with minimum of 20 pixel size. So it becomes this jarring element, these small dots everywhere, and it's not at all like coherent with the rest of the painting, and it sticks out way too much.
Big
So
resolution difference.
yeah, exactly. So by more like hand painting the spores, and you could even duplicate the layers by just kind of dragging, alt dragging. You can have more spores, but it's really important that you hand paint them, or at least maintain the density of of the pixels. Otherwise, it's just like if you zoom in too much and noodle something, it's gonna stand out because the rest of the image doesn't contain as much fidelity. It's the same idea here that those spores just kind of break the illusion.
It's what you see a lot of people with photo bashing do as well, where the
Yeah,
resolution is completely off from
yeah,
the rest of the elements in the environment.
yeah, exactly. And Kuru said, "Rainbow palette is the best. All old masters used it."
Yeah, when they go back to their childhood again, they
Yeah,
find their childhood colors.
yeah. So here's let's toggle to see. Here's the original. Here's the changes.
Do keep all the little story elements you have in your images and all the cool pieces that way, but try to bring them together more less busy. Let's just say it like that.
Yeah,
Don't try to have too many elements in your image.
yeah. But Ohms, I think Ohms agreed to that himself as well. That he went a bit too crazy. He mentioned it in the chat.
For the next image, he's gonna make a really minimalistic one
Yeah,
with awesome rendering, and we're gonna be like, whoa.
yeah. But I really, I think this challenge, there was some really cool entries.
Yep, and very different again. That's what I always like seeing. That
Mm,
any given idea is interpreted so differently by all the people. That's the coolest thing of these challenges, I think.
yeah.
And the new one should also be interesting. I think
Hmm.
I was thinking that character designers can have their way with that.
Yeah.
Since there is so few environment artists, I still see. I need to see more environment artists in the Discord.
Yeah.
Give you character guys some competition.
Hmm. Yeah. It's hard when there's so many different colors in the painting. Rainbow palette.
What I sometimes do is then I pick one of the dominant colors and then just put an entire layer in that color over it on a low opacity again. Then I pick another color that is very dominant and do the same thing. That
Mm,
kind of unifies it also a little bit, where you start actually playing up the colors that are already in there, basically.
yeah.
Yep, cool stuff. I think
That's all.
that's all of them, right?
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, and good feedback as well. So keep doing that, guys. Really helps to support each other, making the images better. It's really cool to see people taking in the advice and the images improving that way.
Hmm. Definitely.
Man, makes me want to paint again, you guys, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Soon. Now we're going psychedelic with it.
A little bit. Yeah. Trying to just create a coherent.
It's a difficult image to darken as well because it's such a bright daylight scene. Right? It's
Yeah.
I was thinking if I would do an overpaint that I'd quite heavily vignette it on all the sides, making it a little bit darker, and then maybe have some light spots popping out somewhere.
Yeah. It's a little bit. It's a little bit like we're trying to save it. I think it's just worth kind of pointing out that it needs to be more carefully done from the beginning rather than attempting to save what's here. You know,
Hmm.
I think it's a really good attempt, but it needs more uh, balancing from the get-go. Like in order for this image to work now, we have to change so much. The image is not going to be the same anymore.
Yep. Yeah, and that said, there's really strong parts in it as well. I would actually even the couple in the right corner now. Maybe you can cut them out, and they deserve a separate painting of their own. You know,
Yeah,
I want to see what's going on with them, or like the couple in the middle. You know, are they discussing their future or whatever kind of stuff? There's really a lot of interesting things, but
yeah, and I love it that the guy standing next to the woman there, she's probably talking about some bullshit, and he's looking, or he's not paying attention.
he's zoning out. He's already thinking like, "Oh, my favorite program is on television tonight. So what the hell is she talking about again?"
Yeah, exactly. Or he's just thinking about who to impregnate next with the.
Yeah, he really looks like, "Get me out of here."
Uh,
Yep. Yeah, that's cool. There's definitely keep those little story elements in your paintings, but try
yeah.
to give them a little bit more space of their own in the paintings.
But in a way, I feel like this is Om's style. Like he
Hmm.
really enjoys the crazy palette, all these things, and I think it's fine.
Hmm.
It's just he needs to kind of tame the beast.
Bring out his own strengths a little bit more.
Yeah, like it's too much. All highlights go towards white, all shadows goes towards black, and then every color in the crayon box in between.
All right. Says the guy is wondering why all the women are pregnant around him. That should take a man suspicious indeed. Kind of like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, yeah. It's a good one. I love that little touch there of him, um, like looking over the shoulder.
Says you're doing CPR to that painting.
And this girl obviously needs to look at us and not out of the painting. But it's I think yeah, it's interesting to see his original on the paint over.
Yeah, I think you managed to tone it down quite a bit, unify it that way,
Yeah,
and also brought up the more warm daylight feel of it, basically.
yeah, it's a little bit mixed bag on his original. But you can see though he pays a lot of good attention like to the spore bag or whatever it is up in the corner. Like he increases the saturation. He has blues and purples. The greens they turn in hue as they are in shadow and in the light. It looks cool. Like and all these lovely little brush marks and color changes and but then when you zoom out you go, ooh, what's happening? Maybe it's a case of zooming in too much. Most likely. Looking at the spore bag there in the water. Very much zoomed in there. Just need to have all those veins in there and it needs to
Hmm.
be perfect and all the little spores everywhere and
Yeah, I still keep seeing new things. Yeah, you need to be a museum painter, Holmes. Get
yeah,
in touch with the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. Call yourself like a new modern expressionist artist.
Yeah,
and you're good to go.
yeah, but it's a cool painting. I enjoy it. I think everyone did some really cool stuff.
Yep.
So with that, I think the stream will be over.
Okie dokie. Good to see all the stuff again, and looking forward what everybody will make for the next challenge.
Yeah,
The shaman.
I'll also upload the paintovers uh, to Discord for anyone who's interested.
Okie dokie.
If they want to toggle the layer.
And then Monday, tomorrow, we can start our working week again.
With warm up.
We're gonna rate the stream with environments tomorrow. Extra reminder.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yes, for the Monday morning. Extra pressure.
That is gonna not be fun, but I'm looking forward to it. All right, everyone. Thanks everyone for coming, and have a fantastic night, morning, whatever you are. See you tomorrow morning.
Arrivederci. Catch
All
you all
right.
later.
Okay, here comes the outro.
Whee! I was still there, like, hey, Bjorn is gone. The stream is ended, but you're there. Yeah, have a good one, and yeah, catch you later. Arrivederci. I was still there, like, hey, Bjorn is gone. The stream is ended, but you're there. Yeah.